Stop waiting for perfect conditions. The truth is there will never be a perfect time, a perfect opportunity, or a perfect setup for your dream. You keep telling yourself you'll start when things calm down, when you have more money, when you're less busy, when you're more confident. But that moment never comes. Life will always be messy, unpredictable, and challenging. If you wait for everything to line up, you'll spend your whole life standing still, watching others live the dream you keep talking about. Success doesn't wait for the weather to clear up. It grows in the storm. You gotta move now, even if you're scared, even if you don't have all the answers, even if you feel unprepared. Because waiting for perfect is the fastest way to stay average. Think about it, every person who ever made history started with uncertainty. They didn't have a guarantee that things would work. They didn't know if they'd succeed, but they started anyway. You can't wait for motivation to show up. You create motivation through movement. Action breeds clarity. You won't figure everything out sitting still, thinking and planning. You figure it out when you take that first step. Make that first call. Write that first word. Build that first version. Record that first video. Every step you take teaches you something new, reveals what's possible, and pushes you closer to where you're meant to be. You've got to stop looking for permission and start believing in yourself enough to move, even if it's imperfect. The reality is, conditions never become perfect because perfection doesn't exist. There will always be something missing: money, time, connections, resources. But that's what makes the journey beautiful. When you start, despite those things, you learn how to adapt, how to grow, how to build strength from scarcity. Waiting for everything to be just right is really another form of fear disguised as preparation. You tell yourself you're getting ready, but deep down you're avoiding discomfort. Growth lives on the other side of that discomfort. You have to be willing to step into uncertainty and trust that you'll figure it out along the way. Faith isn't waiting until you see the whole staircase. Faith is taking the first step when you can only see one. Look around you. People are less talented, less skilled, less experienced than you are winning simply because they started. They decided that imperfect action beats perfect in action. They didn't wait for approval or the perfect timing. They just began, and the universe met them halfway. Opportunity doesn't come to those who sit back waiting. It comes to those who move. When you show up even scared, even messy, you signal to life that you're serious. You attract momentum by moving. Waiting drains your energy, but movement creates it. When you start acting, you create confidence because every action you take builds belief. You start proving to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. You have to understand that fear will always be there. The fear of failing, of being judged, of not being enough, it never fully goes away. The trick isn't to wait for the fear to disappear. The trick is to move despite it. Fear loses power when you take action. Each time you move forward, fear shrinks a little and your courage grows a little. That's how transformation happens. Not in waiting rooms of hesitation, but in motion. You've got to stop telling yourself stories about why now isn't the right time. You said you'd start last year, then you said you'd start this year, and now you're already pushing it to next year. At some point, you got to stop planning and start doing. Every day you delay, you're losing opportunities, experiences, and growth that could have been yours. Even when you fail, you win. Because failure isn't the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. Every mistake teaches you something you couldn't learn from waiting. Every setback strengthens your resilience. Waiting might protect you from failure, but it also protects you from progress. You can't learn how to swim by reading about it. You got to get in the water. And yes, you'll struggle, you'll swallow water, you'll get tired. But you'll also learn how to move, how to breathe, how to stay afloat. The same goes for life. You can't master your dream by thinking about it. You gotta live it. Don't let the illusion of perfect timing trap you. The people who win in life don't have better conditions. They just make the most of what they had. They build from chaos, they create from struggle, and they move through doubt. The world rewards action, not intention. You keep saying someday will turn into never. The perfect time is the one you create by moving now. Every step you take changes your timing, your energy, your opportunities. You don't find the right moment, you make it. Every struggle you faced, every disappointment, every tear you shed, it all had a purpose. You didn't go through pain just to suffer. You went through it to grow. The challenges you've experienced weren't meant to destroy you. They were meant to prepare you for the life you've been praying for, the life you've been praying for. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. When you learn to see it that way, everything changes. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? Because the truth is, pain is the most honest teacher you'll ever have. It strips you down. It exposes your weaknesses, and it forces you to dig deeper than you ever thought possible. It's through pain that you discover who you really are. Too many people try to run from pain, hide from it or numb it, but the ones who win in life are the ones who face it head on. You can't grow without discomfort. You can't get stronger without resistance. The same way your muscles grow through tension and strain, your character grows through the challenges you face. Every time life knocks you down, you have two choices. You can stay down and let it define you, or you can rise up and let it refine you. You become unstoppable when you start using pain as fuel instead of letting it drain you. The difference between those who succeed and those who quit is not the absence of pain, it's how they respond to it. Pain has a way of teaching lessons that comfort never can. When everything is easy, you don't learn how to fight. You don't learn how to endure. But when you're hurting, when you're struggling to keep going, that's when your strength is built. You start discovering what you're truly capable of. Pain introduces you to the version of yourself that you didn't know existed. The fighter, the survivor, the believer who refuses to give up. The moments you thought would break you are the very moments that shaped you. That heartbreak, that failure, that rejection, they all served a greater purpose. They made you wiser, tougher, and more focused. They taught you how to value progress over perfection and how to keep pushing even when everything inside you wants to quit. Sometimes the pain is what wakes you up. You don't realize how much potential you have until you're forced to rise above something you thought would destroy you. The world has a way of pressing you until you either break or break through. And when you decide that your pain won't define you, that's when you start to see the power in it. Every scar you carry is proof that you made it through. Every setback is evidence that you refuse to give in. You've already survived so much. Don't you dare stop now. The very thing you thought was holding you back might be the thing pushing you forward. When you start to turn pain into power, you take back control of your story. Instead of being a victim of your circumstances, you become the author of your comeback. You start using your past as motivation instead of limitation. You stop saying, this hurt me, and start saying, this built me. That's what separates the great from the average. The great ones take what broke them and turn it into purpose. They channel their pain into work, their struggle into vision, their losses into lessons. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond to it. That response is what determines your future. Think about the people you admire most. Their stories aren't perfect. They're filled with pain, failure, and disappointment. But they didn't stop there. They used every bit of that pain as fuel to rise higher. When they were told no, they worked harder. When they failed, they got back up. When they failed, they learned. That's what makes them powerful. They took their pain and transformed it into something meaningful. And you can do the same. You have the same ability inside you. The same power, the same fire, the same resilience. Every painful experience in your life is shaping you into someone greater. The broken relationships taught you self-worth. The failures taught you persistence. The disappointments taught you patience. The struggles taught you gratitude. Every single part of your journey has meaning, even the parts you wish didn't happen. When you look back years from now, you'll realize that the pain you went through was the very thing that built the strength you needed to handle your blessings. Because if life gave you everything you wanted without first preparing you through pain, you wouldn't be ready to keep it. Pain builds foundation. It builds appreciation. It builds wisdom. You can't teach experience, you have to live it. And when you live through the hard times, you carry a different kind of confidence. You stop being afraid of the next storm because you remember that you've already survived worse. You stop questioning your ability to handle challenges because you've seen your strength up close. Pain doesn't just change how you see the world, it changes how you see yourself. Belief is the foundation of everything you'll ever achieve in life. Before you can see the results, before anyone else can understand your dream, you have to believe in it. You have to hold the vision so clearly in your mind that feels real, even when there's no evidence around you. That's the difference between those who make it and those who don't. Faith, you have to believe before you see it. Every great achievement started as a thought, an idea, a spark of belief that someone refused to let go of. Most people wait for proof before they believe, but champions understand that belief comes first. You don't wait to see results before you have faith. You have faith, you have faith, and then you create results. When you start believing in yourself, you activate something powerful inside you. You stop needing validation from others because you know who you are and where you're going. Most people give up on their dreams not because they don't have the talent, but because they don't believe they can make it happen. Doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. When you let doubt take over, it blinds you to your potential, convinces you that you're not ready, not good enough, not capable. But belief, real belief, cuts through all of that noise. It gives you vision in the dark. It allows you to keep moving when everyone else tells you to stop. You've got to understand that no one else is going to believe for you. People will doubt you. They'll question you. They'll tell you to be realistic, to lower your expectations, to play it safe. But that's because they can't see what you see. They can't feel the fire burning inside you. It's not their dream. It's yours. And you can't expect people to understand something that wasn't given to them. When you have a vision, it's your responsibility to protect it, nurture it, and believe in it with everything you have. Well, belief is the seed. Without it, nothing grows. In the beginning, belief might be the only thing you have. You might not have money, resources, or connections, but if you have belief, you're already rich. Because belief turns into energy. Energy turns into action, and action turns into results. That's how dreams become reality. You have to wake up every morning and choose to believe, even when circumstances tell you otherwise. Even when you're tired, broke, or discouraged, you have to remind yourself, I was built for this. I can do this. Because once you believe it, your mind starts working for you instead of against you. Every successful person has had moments when things didn't make sense, when nothing was working, when giving up seemed easier. But they kept believing. They understood that belief is a muscle. It grows stronger the more you use it. Every time you push through doubt, you're strengthening your belief. Every time you choose faith over fear, you're building mental toughness. You don't need people to see your vision. You need to see it so clearly that it drives you to act. You don't wait for the right moment. You create it through consistency and conviction. Belief is not pretending that everything is perfect. There's knowing that no matter how hard it gets, you'll find a way through. It's trusting that every setback is part of the process. It's choosing to see opportunity where others see obstacles. It's saying I may not be there yet, but I'm on my way. Belief doesn't make the journey easy. It makes it possible. Because when you believe, you keep showing up. You keep fighting. You keep giving your best, even when no one's clapping. And that persistence eventually turns your vision into reality. You got to stop letting what you see right now determine what you believe about your future. Maybe you don't have the results yet. Maybe you're struggling. Maybe things aren't moving as fast as you'd hoped. That's okay. The dream takes time. The seed has to grow roots before it breaks through the soil. Just because you can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not happening. The universe is aligning things behind the scenes. Your job is to keep believing, keep preparing, keep working, and trust that what you've been working toward will manifest when it's supposed to. Sometimes you'll be tested. Life will throw challenges at you to see how bad you really want it. In those moments, your belief will be your anchor. It will hold you steady when the world feels like it's falling apart. You'll be tempted to quit, but that's when you remind yourself of why you started. That's when you speak life into your dream. You say to yourself, I'm not done yet. My time is coming. While the world sleeps, the winners are working. The dreamers are grinding. The ones who really want it understand that success doesn't show up during the daylight hours of comfort. It's built in the quiet moments when no one's watching, when the lights are off, and when everyone else has decided to rest. If you want to be great, you can't do what everyone else is doing. You've got to be willing to give up sleep for purpose, to trade comfort for progress, and to push yourself long after the excitement fades. That's the price of greatness, sacrifice and relentless work. People love to talk about success, but very few are willing to do what it takes when it's inconvenient. You have to make a decision. Do you want to be comfortable, Or do you want to be legendary? When you see people who seem to have it all together, who are living the life you dream about, remember this: they earned it in the dark. They worked when no one was clapping for them, when no one was posting about them, when no one believed in them. They showed up every single day, even when it didn't look like anything was happening. That's what separates the average from the great. The discipline to keep working when there's no applause, no attention, no recognition. While everyone else is scrolling, sleeping, or complaining, the greats are preparing. They understand that consistency beats talent every time. You don't need to be the smartest, fastest, or most gifted. You just need to be the one who refuses to quit. The grind is lonely. It's supposed to be. That's where strength is built. When you're alone with your goals, pushing yourself through fatigue, telling yourself, just one more hour, just one more rep, just one more step. Success doesn't come to those who do what's easy. It comes to those who do what's necessary. The nights you stay up working, the mornings you get up before the sun, the moments when your body says stop, but your purpose says go. Those are the moments that build your legacy. Everyone wants to shine on the stage, but few are willing to practice in the dark. You can't expect results without sacrifice. You can't expect growth without effort. Every minute you invest in your dream is building something powerful, even if you can't see it yet. You've got to fall in love with the grind. You've got to love the process as much as you love the goal. Because the process is where your character is tested, is where your limits are stretched. It's where you become the person capable of handling success. The work you do when nobody's watching is what determines what you'll do when everyone is. If you only show up when it's easy or exciting, you'll never reach your potential. Real discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. It's setting a standard for yourself that doesn't depend on mood or motivation. Motivation fades, passion fades, passion fades. But discipline, that's forever. Think about the greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders in the world. They all have one thing in common: work ethic. They put in the hours no one else wanted to. They sacrificed sleep, parties, comfort, and leisure because they understood something most people never do. The dream demands everything. You can't expect to live a life of greatness if you give a minimum level effort. You can't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Every late night you spend perfecting your craft. Every early morning you show up before anyone else. Every extra rep, every extra hour, it all adds up. You may not see progress every day, but every bit of effort counts. Success is not one big moment. It's the sum of 1,000 small ones. You've got to work while others rest, not because you hate sleep, but because you love the dream more. You've got to be so committed to your purpose that comfort feels like a distraction. There will be days when your mind says stop, when your body aches, when everything in you wants to quit. But those are the moments that define you. That's when you dig deeper. That's when you remind yourself why you started. Because the pain of hard work is temporary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. The people who make it to the top are not the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who outworked everyone around them. Every time you choose work over rest, focus over distraction, growth over comfort, you're investing in your future self. You're building habits that separate you from the pack. You're teaching your mind and body that average is not your standard. You don't have to compete with anyone else. You just have to outwork the old version of you. You have to show up stronger, smarter, and hungrier than you did yesterday. Because if you're not getting better, you're getting left behind. The world doesn't slow down for anyone. While you're sleeping, someone else is learning, improving, building, and taking the opportunities you could have had. Fear will always be there. It waits in the back of your mind, whispering reasons why you can't, why you shouldn't, why it's safer to stay where you are. It disguises itself as logic, as caution, as comfort, but deep down, fear is the silent thief of dreams. It stops more people than failure ever will. Every time you've held back from chasing your vision, every time you've hesitated before taking a risk, every time you've told yourself, or maybe later, it was fear pulling the strings. And the truth is, fear will never go away. It doesn't disappear when you get stronger, richer, or more successful. It only changes shape. The goal is not to live without fear. It's to move through it. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to act in spite of it. You've got to learn to silence doubt and fear if you ever want to reach your full potential. Because fear is loud, but it's also a liar. It tells you stories about failure that haven't even happened yet. It paints pictures of embarrassment, rejection, and loss to convince you to stay still. But those stories aren't real. They're just possibilities. The only way they become reality is if you stop moving. Fear feeds on inaction. The longer you wait, the stronger it grows. The moment you take action, the power shifts. Every step you take forward weakens fear's grip. That's why successful people still feel fear, but they don't let it stop them. They've learned to hear the voice of fear without obeying it. They've learned to use it as fuel instead of a wall. Think about every major breakthrough in history. Every invention, discovery, and movement started with someone who felt afraid but moved anyway. They didn't have guarantees. They didn't know how it would end, but they stepped out, and that's why the world remembers their names. You got to stop waiting for fear to go away before you take your shot. If you wait for that moment, you wait your entire life. Fear doesn't leave, you just get braver. Every time you act in the face of fear, your confidence grows. You start to trust yourself. You begin to understand that fear is nothing more than a test to see how badly you want it. Fear is tricky because it shows up right before your breakthrough. It gets louder when you're about to level up. That's how you know you're getting close. When you start feeling anxious, uncomfortable, or uncertain, that's not a sign to stop. It's a sign to go harder. Growth and fear live in the same place. If you want to grow, you got to step into that uncomfortable zone and stay there long enough to realize it won't kill you. Every great thing you'll ever achieve exists just beyond the wall of fear. The first time you cross that wall, it's terrifying. The second time, it's still hard. But by the third time, it starts to feel normal. You begin to see that fear was never as powerful as you thought. It was just loud. You have to stop letting fear dictate your decision. Too many people are living half lives because they're afraid to fail, afraid to be judged, afraid to start over, afraid to stand out. But the truth is, you can't win if you're always playing safe. Playing safe might protect you from pain, but it also protects you from purpose. So purpose. You weren't created to live a small life. You weren't made to fit in. You were made to grow, to create, to take risks. And every time you silence your dreams because of fear, you betray your own potential. The people who make it to the top are not the ones who never felt scared. They're the ones who did it scared. Fear can't survive in the presence of action. The moment you start moving, fear starts fading. The moment you start doing what you're afraid of, you begin to take back control. If you're scared to speak, start speaking. If you're scared to fail, start failing forward. If you're scared to try, start trying anyway. The secret to confidence isn't waiting until you feel ready. It's doing the thing that scares you until it doesn't anymore. Every time you face fear, it gets smaller. Every time you avoid it, it grows. You get to choose which direction it goes. You've also got to stop letting the opinions of others feed your fear. People will always have something to say, no matter what you do. If you succeed, they'll criticize. If you fail, they'll gossip. Either way, they'll talk. But they're not the ones living your life. You are. You can't let fear of judgment keep you from chasing your destiny. The truth is, most people who criticize you are afraid themselves. They stopped trying a long time ago, and now they project their fear onto others. You don't owe them safety. You owe yourself freedom. Freedom from fear. Freedom from hesitation. Freedom from regret. The greatest tragedy is not failing. It's never knowing what you could have achieved because fear kept you from trying. Regret is heavier than fear.